So after yet another failed Champions League campaign and a pretty abysmal performance in the El Clasico, this is the perfect reply from Xavi and his team. 7 goals, 0 conceded. This is the way to go. Let's discuss tonight's match. So all in all, this was a very perfect match from Barcelona's perspective, and this was one of the most dominating games that I have seen Barcelona play this season. So basically, I'm going to talk about two parts of tonight's game: the positives and the negatives. So for once, there are actually more positives than negatives in a Barcelona match. So let's get straight into the positive side of the game. So right off the bat, the first thing that you sort of pick up from tonight's match is the positive feeling is once again back. The team is looking more vibrant, more fluid. The passes seem more confident, and just all in all, the team seems to be recovering from the shock that they received in last 4 or 5 matches. And this comes from the manager, this comes from the senior players in the team, and they are putting up a good example. But there are also certain cases that require a little bit more work, but in general the feeling inside the team seems to be getting better, and this is for me the most important takeout and the biggest positive from the last couple of matches and the results that came along with it. Few of the performances that I absolutely have to talk about tonight are of Alejandro Balde, Frenkie de Jong, obviously the usual suspect Lewandowski, and the man of the match for me tonight, Ousmane Dembele. So starting off with Alejandro Balde, Balde is one of those prospects the first time I saw him playing, he caught my eye and pretty much everyone around. And he is not a finished article, let's get that straight. But what he has shown tonight is pure confidence, pure class, and a lot of skills. When was the last time I saw a fullback doing a nutmeg in his own corner? I just cannot remember. So that requires a certain bit of confidence, a certain bit of skill and a finesse, and maybe a bit of foolishness too. But that comes with a young prospect, right? And what Balde has shown tonight, once again, is he can be a long-term prospect. And the trust and reliability Xavi has put in Balde this season is sort of starting to pay off, and this guy has really impressed me tonight. He was one of the major highlights of Barcelona's game tonight. Frenkie de Jong once again showing his class, showing his quality, showing he deserves to be trusted and relied upon, and once again his performance was just right up there as we are accustomed to seeing him play. So what De Jong tonight did is a bit a different role than what he did in the last match against Villarreal. He was not the single pivot. Busquets were there, and what De Jong had more in terms of liberty tonight was being able to make those forward runs and being in the attacking sense of the midfield side more. So this gave him a little bit more things to work with, a little bit more avenues to show his skills and expertise, and he did perfectly well, winning duels, winning headers, dribbling past players. De Jong was doing what De Jong is supposed to do, and Xavi once again made the right call in starting him. And tonight's starting 11 was a little bit surprising to me. I could not understand a lot of decisions, but it seemed to have worked out. The team was fluid, the players were swapping flanks, and just in general, the connection between the midfield was significantly better than what we have seen in the last few weeks. Lewandowski, once again, there is not much to say about this guy. This guy is an absolute freak of nature, scoring goals for fun and just making football a very easy sport, and scoring goals, the most difficult part of football, seem insanely easy. So this guy is, I don't really know how old is he, 34, 35, it doesn't really matter, does it? So what he has been doing in Barcelona, completely different league, completely different team, completely different dynamics, but it's the same old Lewandowski. And this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I do not want to jinx it, but what he and Haaland has been doing this season across Europe, it's something you do not see in football every day. This is amazing, and we need to enjoy and make the most out of it as long as we can. Let's hope that both these players that I've just mentioned stays injury free and could contribute to their teams and just keeps on playing like they have in this season. And finally, the man of the match for me tonight, Ousmane Dembele. A hat trick of assists, a goal, and this guy is showing his quality, what he has promised in his teenagers and playing in Germany and France, what the flares, the signs of the player he can become is slowly coming in front and hopefully will be coming into fruition. But what I fail to understand is how can a player of this much quality and class and skill can sometimes not get the most basic things right. This is one of the mysteries of the world, and I just cannot understand what goes in his mind. And in the second half tonight, it was very interesting and funny to look at. He was just playing casually and gave away an assist. So this player is very interesting. He has definitely earned his position in this team and earned his position in Xavi's lineup. And Dembele for me is without a doubt a go-to starter for Barcelona right now. Whoever plays on the other flank, that's a debate that we were still trying to solve, coming up with a clear-cut solution or an option. But Dembele for me is a clear starter, and it's his inconsistency that has been keeping him out of conversations like, is he one of the best wingers in the world right now? Is he good enough to, let's say, get a call up in France starting 11 and so on and so forth? But for me, Dembele, with all his faults and all his flaws, is a player that you need in a team to add that spark, to add that flair. Yes, this kind of players fail, and Dembele, to his fault, fails more often than not. And this is something that I feel will improve with time. It has improved significantly. If you compare Dembele's last 3-4 seasons in Barcelona and what he has been doing in last couple of seasons, then you see a vast difference, and this is a very positive thing to look at. So now let's get the positives out of the way and talk about some of the less brighter things that took place in tonight's match. So fortunately, this was one of those games that there are not many negative things to talk about, but obviously the biggest worrying thing that took place tonight is Gavi's injury, and it seemed like a serious injury at the time, and the knee just hit his pelvic or around his groin area, which is never a good thing. And let's hope and let's pray that it's nothing serious, because the form that Gavi is in, the confidence he is showing after winning the trophies, and it's just a very bad timing for the kid. And I really hope that it's nothing serious, it's nothing long-termish. If he requires a rest in a couple of matches, then it's absolutely fine. I think we have that covered in our midfield right now. But this was definitely one of those really worrying things that took place in a rather very positive night. So other than that, there are not many things that worried me tonight. Yes, there were some doubts regarding some of the players. I'm not going to talk about how Busquets and Eric Garcia were absolutely below par. They were misplacing their passes, they were doing mistakes, they are doing errors left, right and center, and this has become just a repeat telecast of the same old thing. So I'm not going to spend much time talking about the same thing in every single video. So I just do not understand what's the logic behind Xavi choosing Busquets and Eric Garcia and Sergi Roberto for that also. He played relatively well, but I just do not see him as a Barca starter or even a substitute. If only forced upon, then maybe Sergi Roberto can come in. Eric Garcia is the one who disappoints me the most. This guy started off the season in a very good form and seemed like a little bit more improved version of Eric Garcia than what we have seen in last season. But it's been an horrendous few matches for Eric Garcia. Some of the mistakes, the missed passes, and just hitting the ball out of the field when not being able to understand what to do with it. It's just second division stuff and Sunday league football in some cases. So I'm very disappointed with some of the performances of Eric Garcia in this season, and Busquets needs to retire at the end of the season or just be sold off. Maybe he was linked to it, Inter Miami and all. So probably he has reached that stage in his career where he needs to look into options where he'd be more valued and the competition around him a little bit more suited to his profile right now. So guys, this was a really good confidence booster before the game against Bayern Munich, and now we go into that match being very optimistic and being very positive about how we can perform, and it's in our own backyard. So even if the match doesn't have any implication in the overall competition, that is UEFA Champions League, but this is absolutely pivotal of a schedule. Make no mistake, the result that's going to come out of that match is going to have a very big impact in the overall season of Barcelona. And regardless the result that takes place in Inter Milan versus Victoria Pilsen, it's a big and it's a huge schedule for Barcelona nonetheless. So fingers crossed for that, and let's just hope for a very good and somewhat a replication of the first half in the Allianz Arena. So this is Azim signing off. If you're still up this late watching Barcelona play at whatever time zone you are, then this was one of those nights that made it feel worth it, and let's hope we can continue with this run of form and move forward. Visca el Barça.